Each time you take a step, 200 muscles work in unison to lift your foot, propel it forward, and step it down. It's just one of the many thousands of tasks performed by muscular system. This network, over 650 muscles, covers the body and is the reason we can blink, smile, jump, run, and stand upright. And it's also responsible for heart's dependable thumb. What exactly is muscular system? The main purpose of muscular system is to provide movement of the body. Muscular system is made up of three main muscles. First is skeletal muscles, second is cardiac muscles, and third is smooth muscles. So, let's discuss all three of these types right now. First, what these different types of muscles have in common is that they are all vital for movement. Muscle tissue is predominantly comprised of muscle cells, and these are highly specialized for a process called contraction, which what allows for mobility. The three types of muscles are quite different in their functions, but there are some similarities in their structures. So, let's go through them one at a time.
Let's start with skeletal muscles as it's the most abundant. These are the muscles that cover our skeleton and give our body its shape. The exact number of skeletal muscles in the body is not precisely known, but it's thought to be over 650. These attach to bones either directly or via connective tissue called tendons, and they are responsible for a variety of functions. Skeletal muscles produce voluntary movements, which are the ones that are under our control. This includes simply movements like extending limbs or more coordinated movement like running or swimming. And they achieve this by pulling on the bones of the skeleton. Our skeletal muscles also maintain our posture. When you are sitting down, it might feel as though you are totally relaxed, but in actuality, many of these muscles are constantly working by making small adjustments to maintain your precise body position. Skeletal muscles even forms sphincters in the digestive and urinary tracts to allow control of actions such swallowing and urination.
Beyond this function, they help us maintain optimal body temperature by releasing heat as byproduct of muscle contraction.
So what makes up a skeletal muscle? We will see that skeletal muscles is different from cardiac and smooth muscles that will be discussed and examined later. In skeletal muscles, cells are multinucleated. This means they have multiple nuclei. Cells called myoblasts, which have one nucleus, each fused together to form a long cylindrical multinucleated called muscle fiber with its nuclei located at the periphery, and this is surrounded by a sheath of connective tissue called endomysium. Skeletal muscles from the bulk of the muscular system make up about 30 to 40% of body weight and generated most of its motion. Some muscles are familiar to us like pectoral and biceps. Pectoral muscles are the muscles that connects the front of the human chest with the bones of the upper arm and shoulder. And biceps, two-headed muscles of the arm, is a large muscle that lies in the front of the upper arm between the shoulder and the elbow. Whenever they occur, skeletal muscles are connected to the somatic nervous system, which give us almost complete control over their movements. These muscle groups also contains two types of muscle fibers to refine our motion even further: slow twitch and fast twitch. Fast twitch fibers react instantly when triggered but quickly use up their energy and tire out. Slow twitch fibers, on the other hand, are endurance cells. They react and use energy slowly so they can work for a longer period.
And now let's move on to cardiac muscle. So what is cardiac
Cardiac
muscle?
means relating to the heart, so one might guess cardiac muscles is only found in the heart and cardiac muscle cells are called cardiomyocytes. There is just one word for cardiac muscles and that is to contract in order to push blood out of the heart to the rest of the body, which will supply tissues around the body with vital oxygens and nutrients. Cardiac muscles is similar to skeletal muscles in the sense that they also have a striated appearance which is due to being comprised of microfibers and sarcomeres of contractility. However, cardiac muscle cells is different from skeletal muscles in other way. Cardiac muscle cells are short, brain cells which is structures that allow them to communicate with oneself and they typically have one or maybe two centrally located nuclei in between each cardiomyocyte. There is an intercalated disc which contains gap junctions. When we say gap junctions, allows the electrical stimulus that is required for contraction to rapidly spread across the cardiac tissues by allowing ions to move from one cell to the next. This means that cardiac muscle cells can contract in coordinated fashion, allowing the heart to pump. Another difference from skeletal muscle is we do not voluntarily contract the muscles in our heart, meaning that we don't consciously think about heartbeats. It's just happen automatically. This means that the body cardiac muscles are managed by the automatic nervous systems beyond our direct controls.
And lastly, let's take a look at the third type of muscle tissue known as smooth muscles. So, what is smooth muscle?
Smooth muscles are mostly found in our organs, and it contracts and it regulates our many daily business. Smooth muscles in blood vessels walls will contract or relax to regulate blood pressure and distribution of blood to our different organs. It is present in our airways to allow more or less of air to pass through. It contracts in the walls of our digestive tract to push materials along. The smooth muscles in our bladder contracts to expel urine out of the body. And it has numerous functions in the reproductive system, including contractions of the walls of the uterus to push a baby out of its womb during childbirth. Similarly to cardiac muscle, smooth muscles are innervated or managed by the automatic nervous system. So it contracts and relaxes automatically.
So, what are the three common diseases of muscular system?
Muscular dystrophy, or MD, is a group of inherited muscle diseases. These conditions all cause muscle loss and weakness. Muscular dystrophy is a group of inherited diseases that damage and weaken your muscles over time. This damage and weakness is due to the lack of protein called dystrophin, which is necessary for normal muscle function. The absence of this protein can cause problems with walking, swallowing, and muscle coordination. Some appear in infancy or childhood, and others may not appear until middle age or even later. Some people with MD are lucky enough to have mild symptoms that progress slowly, where others are less fortunate and have disease symptoms that are severe and disabling. There are more than 30 different types of muscular dystrophy, which vary in symptoms and severity. Duchenne muscular dystrophy. This type of muscular dystrophy is the most common among children. The majority of individuals affected are boys. It's rare for girls to develop it. People with Duchenne muscular dystrophy typically require a wheelchair before their teenage years. The life expectancy for those with this disease is late teens or 20s. Next is Becker muscular dystrophy is similar to Duchenne muscular dystrophy, but it's less severe. This type of muscular dystrophy also more commonly affects boys. Muscle weakness occurs mostly in your arms and legs, with symptoms appearing between age 11 and 25. Many with this disease don't need a wheelchair until they are in the middle 30s or older, and a small percentage of people with this disease never require one. Most people with Becker muscular dystrophy live until middle age or later. Congenital muscular dystrophies are often apparent between birth and age. This is when parents begin to notice that their child's motor functions and muscle control are not developing as they should.
So, how can I prevent muscular dystrophy?
How can I prevent muscular dystrophy? Number 1, eat healthy diet to prevent malnutrition. Number 2, drink lots of water to avoid dehydration and constipation. Number 3, exercise as much as possible. Number 4, maintain a healthy weight to prevent obesity. Number 5, quit smoking to protect your lungs and heart. And number 6, get flu and pneumonia vaccines.
Next is the second common diseases of muscular system.
Cardiomyopathy, also called as heart muscle disease. It is a type of progressive disease affecting cardiac muscles. It causes the heart to become abnormally enlarged, thickened, or stiff, making it harder for the heart muscle to pump blood efficiently. Eventually, this may lead to heart failure and buildup of blood into the lungs and other parts of the body. Cardiomyopathy can also cause abnormal heart rhythms and heart valve problems. The main types of cardiomyopathy include dilated hypertrophic and restrictive cardiomyopathy. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy can develop at any age, but the condition tends to be more severe if it occurs during childhood. Most people with this type of cardiomyopathy have a family history of the disease. Some genetics mutations have been linked to hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Restrictive cardiomyopathy, in this type, the heart muscle becomes stiff and less flexible, so it can't expand and fill with the blood between heartbeats. This least common type of cardiomyopathy can occur at any age, but it most often affects older people.
So, how can I prevent cardiomyopathy?
In many cases, you can prevent cardiomyopathy. Let your doctor know if you have a family history of the condition. You can help reduce the risk of cardiomyopathy and other types of heart disease by living a heart-healthy lifestyle and making lifestyle choices such as avoiding the use of alcohol or cocaine, controlling high blood pressure and high cholesterol and diabetes, eating a healthy diet, getting regular exercise, getting enough sleep, and reducing your stress.
And last is the third common diseases of muscular system.
Polymyositis is a type of muscle disease called an inflammatory myopathy. It inflames your muscles and their related tissue, like the blood vessels that supply them. It can cause muscle weakness, and pain, often both sides of your body. Eventually, people with polymyositis have trouble when rising from a sitting position, climbing stairs, lifting objects, or reaching overhead. In some cases, muscles that are not close to the trunk of the body become affected as the disease progresses. What causes polymyositis? The cause of polymyositis is not known, but there are indications that heredity plays a role in the disease. How is polymyositis treated? Polymyositis is treated with high doses of corticosteroid as a first course of treatment. Corticosteroids are given because they can effectively decrease the inflammation in the muscle. Corticosteroids do not always adequately improve polymyositis.
So, how can I prevent polymyositis?
There is no known way to prevent polymyositis because the exact cause is not known. In some cases where medicines may to blame, stopping these medicines can prevent future episodes of the condition. Don't stop taking any medicines without your healthcare provider's approval.
Come a little closer cause you look thirsty. I'ma make it better, slip it like a slurpee. Now count